Brace yourself, the tides are about to get wild along the Boston and New England coastline. This week, and several times again this season, the infamous king tides will surge over seawalls, drown streets, and transform usually dry parking lots into temporary ponds, leaving locals and visitors alike wondering, is this just nature or a sign of something bigger? But here's where it gets really interesting. Starting this Thursday, the Boston waterfront will witness some of the highest tides of the whole year. At around 2:30 p.m., water levels in Boston Harbor are predicted to rise close to 12 feet, about 2 feet higher than average for this area. You'll spot water splashing across boardwalks and even lapping at building edges, an impressive but worrisome natural spectacle. What exactly triggers these monster tides? The explanation comes down to predictable but powerful celestial forces. King tides happen when the sun, moon, and earth are in perfect alignment, and especially when the moon is at its closest point to earth, an event called perigee. During perigee spring tides, the gravitational pull is supercharged, temporarily boosting the ocean's reach by 2 to 4 extra feet. The results: not only bigger tides, but more extensive flooding and faster coastal erosion. To delve deeper, I spoke with William Sweet, a NOAA oceanographer, and Rebecca Shore, who educates the public about coastal issues at Stone Living Lab and Boston Harbor Now. Their insights offer a window into both the science and the social impacts of these wicked high tides. So, what are king tides in plain English? Put simply, they're the highest possible tides, what Bostonians affectionately call wicked high tides. In Boston, where the tidal range is already large, these peaks can mean water rising between 10 and 12 feet, not just the usual 8 or 9. These aren't necessarily caused by storms. Instead, they result from the background dance between celestial bodies. The nickname wicked high tide helps the science hit home with locals. These tides are not random. They're the most predictable of tidal events because they're locked in by known lunar and solar cycles. In New England, all eyes are on the coast when a full or new moon coincides with the closest approach of the moon, amplifying the usual effects. Just how much higher than usual will Boston's tide climb this Thursday? With the moon reaching perigee on Wednesday and just having had a full moon on Sunday, Thursday's peak tides will be both dramatic and timely. Expect the high tide to hit approximately 11.8 feet, outpacing the typical tide by 2 to 2.5 feet. Tidal flows actually lag behind the gravitational effects, so the peak comes a bit after the celestial lineup. For newcomers, think of it as a massive volume of water surging in a rhythm slightly behind the cosmic drumbeat. Wondering when to see another show? The biggest king tides of September will crest Wednesday and Thursday, but New Englanders can expect repeat performances. More significant tides are on deck for October 8th to 10th, likely pushing 1.5 feet or more above even the highest usual tides. Expect further spectacles from king tides in early November and December as well. Local groups like the Stone Living Lab even host public events during these natural high water marks to help people learn and witness the changes firsthand. So why are people so entranced by these high tides? According to Shore, there's a sense of excitement rather than disaster, sometimes even delight during king tide events. On clear, calm days at Long Wharf, she's seen everything from dogs splashing in the flooded promenade to kayakers paddling where pedestrians usually stroll. This kind of flooding, when not tied to a storm or emergency, fascinates and inspires communities to imagine new ways to live with water rather than just fear it. But here's the part most people miss. Rising sea levels are turning these once rare high tides into previews of our future coastline. While perigean tides have always happened, now they are supercharged by the effects of human-driven climate change. Oceans are rising as glaciers melt and global temperatures climb. In Boston alone, sea level has already risen by about a foot since the Industrial Revolution, the period when large-scale greenhouse gases began pouring into the atmosphere. This means places that once only saw water flirting with the top of Long Wharf now often find themselves underwater, including critical infrastructure, homes, and businesses. Imagine what happens when a nor'easter coincides with one of these extreme tides. Water could surge into subway stations, retail stores, and major streets, even submerging entire stretches of the city. This isn't science fiction. During Winter Storm Riley in 2018, Bostonians saw it firsthand. The debate is heating up. Should Boston keep fighting the tide with seawalls and pumps, or learn to adapt by designing with water in mind? And does a flooded wharf inspire action or just acceptance? Sweet underscores that the problem is only accelerating. By 2050, scientists project that Boston could experience 50 to 70 days of high tide flooding every year, up from just 10 to 20 days today. The risk is highest wherever people have built on flat, reclaimed land near harbors or bays. The sobering reality: communities already facing high tide flooding will see it grow more frequent, deeper, and broader, unless something changes. Over the next century, even modest projections say New England's sea levels will climb by a foot or more, potentially inundating areas that have never faced coastal flooding before. With natural king tides reaching new heights, the question isn't if parts of Boston and New England will have to adapt, but how and when. And now, let's stir the waters even further. Should we see these tides as a wake-up call that our coastal development must change entirely, or do you see it as just another cyclic event, not worth all the worry? Do your experiences with king tides lead you to hope, fear, or something else? Jump into the comments below. Agree, debate, or share your stormiest opinions. The king tide may recede, but this conversation is rising fast.